Hey, what is up, everyone? So, a few weeks ago, we talked about the Season 17 trailer that was released during the Xbox Game Showcase. And if you haven't checked that video out, I'll leave it linked here if you want to go check it out. But really, the only thing that I would say is officially confirmed that we know for sure that's coming with Season 17 is a new, more powerful gunpowder keg. And I've been thinking about that recently, and I really don't think we need it. So obviously gunpowder kegs are really fun. If you haven't taken a gunpowder keg and gone onto someone's ship and, just let it loose and blow it up, even if it's just the least powerful one, it's still a ton of fun. It's so much fun to just see, a giant ship explode and just giant explosion and stuff. So I'm not against having a more powerful gunpowder keg in the game. The question I have is, do we really need it? I think one of the problems with Sea of Thieves over the last several seasons, in just the last few years honestly, is that a lot of the updates that we get aren't really things that we need. It's not really pushing forward the game to bring something unique. Look at Season 15 for example. Do we really need new Megalodons in the game, or would it have been better if they spent that time developing a new type of sea monster that was genuinely unique? That's just an example. I feel like that is more justified. The ancient megalodons are more justified being part of the game than a new gunpowder keg. Because really, how are you going to change up the gunpowder keg outside of just making it more powerful? Really, all I've seen so far with the Season 17 trailer is that basically it's a vertical gunpowder keg. So instead of, being kind of horizontal like we're used to, it's more of like a barrel shape that's like kind of the other resource barrels in the game. That's already kind of interesting, but if I was in charge of Sea of Thieves, that's not enough interest to me to greenlight the development of that. There's also the whole thing with the fuse thing, which we don't know too much about yet. I really hope that it's a fuse that you can have it go as long as you need, so you can make it kind of go down like a path or something and you could explode it from far away. I talked about that more in the breakdown video. So there's stuff that they could do to justify having a new gunpowder keg in the game. But really, if we're just talking about it in simple terms of without speculation of anything extra, we don't need it. If you look at the current gunpowder kegs that we have in the game, we have a good variety of them, I think, so far. You have the regular gunpowder kegs, which you see across the Sea of Thieves, that are the red ones, that are kind of small and everything. You see those pretty frequently. Then you also have the stronghold kegs. They're the ones that have like the bones around them and all that kind of stuff. And then the most powerful one we currently have in the game is the Athena Stronghold Gunpowder Keg, and that one has a huge explosive already. I'll put up a clip here so you can actually see what it looks like when that explodes. But look at this explosion right here. This sinks the ship almost immediately. Do we really need another gunpowder keg that basically will do the exact same thing? A lot of people get mad at me when I talk about certain updates like what I talked about with Season 15 or what I'm talking about with this gunpowder keg update, saying that I just am hating just to hate. The problem for me is I like to try to view new additions to the game in the context of the rest of the game. So you can't just look at it in a vacuum, you have to look at what else is already existing. Does this new keg fundamentally change how you play the game? Is there something new that you can do with this keg that you couldn't do with the other kegs in the game? Maybe they will make something different with it. That's why I talked about the fuse in that video, because I feel like that's the only thing that would make it genuinely unique and useful to be different from the other gunpowder kegs. But honestly, you could have just updated the other gunpowder kegs to have the same thing. It didn't really need to be a new gunpowder keg. One of the other ideas that I talked about on that is maybe making it so it's a little bit more reinforced. So all the gunpowder kegs currently, you just shoot it once and it explodes. You can make a gunpowder keg that maybe it takes 2 hits to explode. Kind of similar to how the mast on the sloop takes 2 chain shots to take down, or just like a chain shot and one more hit. It could be something similar to that, where it has just a little bit more reinforced protection on it. So I'm not saying that it can't do anything unique with Season 17, and I'm trying to be kind of optimistic about Season 17 to see what they actually bring with these new gunpowder kegs. But let's also talk about from the other standpoint. If this is supposed to go with a new type of voyage in the game, whenever I do one of those message in the bottle voyages, or they have the limited time voyages that come into the game, and there's a gunpowder keg that I dig up, I just leave it there and I blow it up. I'm not taking that on my ship. It doesn't really give you much value. It's more of a hazard risk to take on your ship than it's worth. I would rather have a bunch of Chest of Rages on my ship rather than a bunch of Gunpowder Kegs, because at least I can control the Chest of Rages. The Gunpowder Keg, you get struck by lightning once, a Megalodon pops up and bites your ship and that blows it up, a skeleton ship spawns out of nowhere and shoots it and blows it up. It's just not worth the risk, especially as someone that plays solo mostly. If you play as a galleon, you might be a little bit more willing to carry kegs with you on your ship, but I think a lot of players that play solo, they're going to see these new gunpowder kegs, and if it's attached to a new voyage or something, they will maybe grind out the voyage over and over again to finish the accommodations that are tied to it, and then never carry these gunpowder kegs again. Unless they're going to try to like tuck somewhere and they want to sneak it up onto someone's ship or something like that. But then I would also question, I feel like these are going to be easier to shoot. That's why I said maybe it needs to be reinforced or something. Because if you're trying to sneak up and keg someone's ship with this gunpowder keg, this thing is huge. Look at the trailer again here. This is a huge gunpowder keg, huge target to shoot at, as opposed to the regular gunpowder kegs we already have in the game. So I'm a little bit conflicted on these new kegs, and honestly, overall, I'm just not sure if this is the right update that we needed for Season 17. I feel like last year the game was starting to get back on the right track. Season 12 brought a lot of interesting new additions to the game with like the throwing daggers and stuff, which did, I feel like, change up the game and make it feel a little bit more fresh. Season 13 brought a lot of new content to the game with the skeleton camps and the burning blade. You can debate whether or not those have had a long-lasting legacy in the game. Season 14 was a bit of a rough patch. I love the updates that we got with that, but obviously the rollout of those updates were awful. The quality control was terrible with that season. And really, Season 14 needed like a new activity to surround those new features, because the stuff that was added in Season 13 was already becoming stale by the time that Season 14 released. Season 15 also, I think, was kind of a better track than previous years, just because it brought a wide variety of content, but a lot of that content was like tweaked, recycled content. And then I would say Season 16, our current season, has just kind of been average. I don't think it's terrible, but I also wouldn't say it's like amazing. But overall, the kind of point I'm trying to make is that the past year of season releases, I feel like we're starting to get back on track with what the game needed to be, following some of the more not so great seasons that we got with like Season 9, Season 10, Season 11 to an extent, but Season 11 was kind of a necessary season in my opinion. But now looking at Season 17, it feels like another regression in the updates that we should be getting. We should be getting stuff that is genuinely new. They should have brought in for that Xbox showcase and showed off some really new, unique thing that's going to be a wholly new, unique thing to do in the game. Even if you look at the new content that we got for Season 16, the most unique thing that we got with Season 16, I think, is the skeleton mercenaries, where you dig them up on the island, they can help you do stuff while you're on the island. That's the most genuinely unique thing in the game, and I do think it helps the game a little bit in terms of, changing it up, but it's not really an activity that you can do. It's not something that I say, oh, let's go to an island and get a skeleton mercenary. It's just something that you kind of see along your voyage. It's more of a feature, not an activity. The new voyages that we haven't obviously got the other voyage we're supposed to get for Season 16, because that should be coming out in a few weeks. The first voyage that we got is basically just the Skull Siren song, but maybe a little bit better than the Skull Siren song. It's not really anything that feels new, and I don't think we've gotten anything in the game that's felt very new in the game, except for maybe the Monkey Island Tall Tales a few years ago. I feel like that did genuinely feel like a new thing into the game because of, all the voice acting and just kind of how they had that tall tale. That felt like a genuinely new experience to do. Everything else since then just feels like basically the same Sea of Thieves game with nothing really massively changing how you play it. So maybe I'm asking too much of Season 17, but I just thought maybe I should talk about these new kegs because we haven't really heard anything new about Season 17 in a few weeks since that announcement. I'm assuming maybe after we get the final Season 16 update, we'll probably start hearing more about Season 17 and what's actually coming down the line for us for that. And then we can talk about more whether or not the new season justifies having a new keg in the game, or if I'm correct and it's just a different shaped, more powerful keg. I'm interested to hear y'all's thoughts though in the comments below. Are you excited for these new Gunpowder kegs, or would you have rather gotten something that's genuinely new in the game? I'd love to hear all y'all's thoughts in the comments below, but if you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you left a like and subscribed. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all!